Welcome to the deep dive. Today, well, we're shifting focus a bit. We're stepping into the shadows, really. We're going to share a collection of real-life, chilling stories, all linked to schools, places we think of as safe, you know. But sometimes they're the setting for unexpected horror. Our goal today is just to narrate these true accounts, make them engaging, maybe a little scary, definitely captivating. These come from real experiences. The source for these, they were originally shared on the Lazy Masquerade YouTube channel, and honestly, they make you rethink everyday safety.
Yes, it's quite unsettling how true stories, especially when they happen in places like schools, places we assume are secure, how powerfully they can shake our sense of safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
These accounts really highlight vulnerabilities, unexpected dangers. They force us to question what safety really means.
A truly chilling thought to begin with. Okay, so let's get into our first story. This is a really harrowing experience. It was told by the narrator, described himself as a big guy, 6'1", 250 pounds. He went to pick up his 11-year-old brother from elementary school. Just a normal day, right?
Right.
But when he got to the park where his brother usually waited, the boy wasn't there, just gone. And, panic sets in immediately. His brother, he said, was a smart kid, someone who knows danger when he sees it, but also friendly, apparently like video games, might jump at the offer to go and play. So the narrator first thought, okay, maybe he's with a friend. He called his mom. Her answer just ramped up the fear. She said nobody we knew lived in our neighborhood anymore. Hadn't for about a year.
So that possibility was immediately out.
Right, gone. So he starts frantically looking around, asking other kids, have you seen my brother? And then he gets a lead. Another kid who knew the narrator said, yeah, they saw his brother, saw him walking off with some older teenagers. They turned out to be only 13, but older than his brother, walking towards a house a few blocks away. So naturally, the narrator just sprints, heart-pounding, imagining the worst for his, quote, gullible kid brother. He finds the house, and his description of the story. An absolute shithole.
Yeah.
There were some teenagers hanging around outside. One of them just casually tells him they were delivering a package to someone inside.
A package.
Yeah. And that package, it was his brother. The narrator said he just freaked out, ran straight inside to get him, and thankfully, he finds his brother. He's okay, physically, playing video games. But the relief, it didn't last. Because standing there, watching him, was this fat, sloppy, greasy-looking guy. Described him like a butcher shop owner type. The narrator just started yelling at his brother, get up, leave, now. Then, just pure rage, pure terror, he grabs the man by the neck, like, Michael Myers type of way, he said, demanded he spill the beans. And the truth that came out, it's horrifying. This man had paid those teenagers, paid them to find a little boy, to bring him to his house so he could do, well, the narrator said, God knows what to them. Sexual assault, kidnapping, maybe worse. The teenagers had tricked his brother, said they knew the narrator, said he told them it was okay for his brother to go with them.
That element of false familiarity is key.
Utterly terrifying. The narrator said he'd never been so angry or scared at the same time in his life. He called the police right away. They arrested the man, abduction charges. And the teenagers, the 13-year-olds, they faced consequences too. All but one went to juvie. The parents of the one kept him on lockdown, apparently. Just an incredibly close call. What's your take on how that deception using other kids worked?
Well, that's exactly it. The chilling part is that grooming tactic, using peers, almost weaponizing social interaction. It bypasses the usual stranger danger warnings because it comes from someone seemingly familiar, or at least not an adult stranger. It shows how predators can exploit precisely. It requires a deeper level of critical thinking about the context, not just the person. It's a really vital safety lesson, unfortunately learned through such a terrifying event.
A stark reminder indeed. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. From danger coming from outside, let's look at a threat that grew within the school walls. This next story is about the narrator's grandfather. He was a young principal back then, maybe late 20s, early 30s, described as a born leader, really respected. There was this boy at his school having some serious behavioral problems. The grandfather saw it wasn't just defiance, maybe lack of support at home, so he called the father in, not for discipline, but for a, quote, general parenting session, just talking about spending more time with his son. And it worked. Turns out that's all the boy needed, his dad's attention. Within weeks, he was a completely different kid, a happy model student. The grandfather apparently took real pride in seeing them, the father and son, playing basketball together after school sometimes, seeing that positive change.
A testament to his approach.
Yeah, seems like it. But, not every problem has such a positive outcome. The grandfather also had to deal with an employee, Stanley, the school janitor. Stanley had a serious drinking problem and apparently a mean streak. He kept showing up to work drunk. The The grandfather tried talking to him, addressing it, but nothing changed. Then came the breaking point. Stanley showed up one day so drunk, the grandfather had no choice but to send him home. He decided Stanley had to be fired. He called the superintendent. His plan was to fire Stanley the next day, after he'd sobered up. And crucially, he warned the superintendent. He stressed Stanley was unstable and that he, the principal, should handle the firing when Stanley was calm.
A reasonable precaution.
You'd think so. But the superintendent, he was furious, ignored the warning completely, decided he would fire Stanley himself that same evening, and he didn't even tell the grandfather, kept him in the dark. Stanley's reaction? Pure rage. He went straight to the school that night, went through all the offices, the grandfathers included, just tearing things apart, looking for something, found whatever he was looking for. Then, as he was leaving, consumed by this rage, he saw them, the father and his son, the model student, playing basketball outside. He walked towards them, pulled a gun from his trousers, and he shot the little boy. Killed him instantly.
Horrifying.
Unimaginable. The father, hysterical, grieving. But somehow, he managed to fight Stanley, got the gun away from him, and shot Stanley. The police called the grandfather right away, told him to come to the school. 2 bodies, the little boy, Stanley. But the narrator said the worst sound was the father's crying, just repeating over and over how he couldn't save his son, blaming himself. Just devastating.
The trauma is immense.
And it gets even colder. One of the officers pulled the grandfather aside later. They'd searched Stanley's body, found a piece of paper. It was a hit list, people he planned to kill, addresses included, information he'd gotten from ransacking those offices. And the grandfather, he was number 1 on that list. If that father hadn't intervened in that moment of absolute horror, the narrator might never have been born. His grandfather, maybe his mother, grandmother, all could have been killed by Stanley. Just thinking about how a personnel issue, a bad administrative call, escalated to that.
It really underscores the weight of administrative responsibility, especially when dealing with employees showing clear signs of instability. The superintendent's decision to override the principal's judgment, maybe out of anger or ego, it directly created the circumstances for that tragedy. It shows how seemingly small decisions or ignoring warnings can have absolutely catastrophic ripple effects.
A truly sobering example of interconnectedness. Right, moving on to our third story. This one is different again. A very personal account. A closest call from the narrator's own childhood. She was about 11 or 12, just walking home from school. Midday. Her apartment block wasn't huge. 3 floors, 10 flats. Most people were at work. As she went inside, she noticed a man she didn't recognize. Unfamiliar man in a black jacket. He seemed to follow her in and started walking up the stairs right behind her. Now, at first, she said she wasn't totally spooked out. Lots of neighbors, people coming and going. But then something felt wrong.
Her intuition kicking in.
Exactly. She lived on the very top part of the building. Her flat was the only one up there. No one else lives on that level, she said. So when this man kept walking past the last flat below hers, those internal alert sirens started going off. But, she's 11, 12 years old. She didn't do anything, didn't say anything, just kept walking to her door, kind of hoping maybe he knew her parents. She admitted she wasn't nearly as terrified as she should have been. And she was pretty sure the flat was empty. Her family usually got home later. She just didn't know what else to do.
That paralysis is common, unfortunately.
Yeah. So she gets to her door. He's right there on the landing behind her. And instead of reaching for her keys like she normally would, she just instinctively rang the bell. And incredibly, thankfully, her oldest sister, who was 16 or 17, happened to be homesick that day. She opened up the moment the bell rang. The man saw the sister standing there. He just turned around without a word and walked back downstairs. Gone. Imagine the relief. She hurried inside into her safety zone. Her sister saw the man, asked who he was, but the narrator just mumbled she didn't know. And the really unsettling part, they never talked about it again, didn't tell their parents. It was only some time later, looking back, that she fully comprehended how things might have gone had my flat been empty. That delayed understanding and that gut instinct to ring the bell.
It's a powerful example of how intuition works, especially in children. That subconscious awareness of danger can trigger actions even before the conscious mind fully grasps the threat. The alert sirens were real. Her body reacted even when her mind was trying to rationalize. It really highlights why we need to teach kids and ourselves to listen to that feeling. Even if we can't immediately explain it, don't dismiss the unease.
Absolutely. Trust that gut feeling.
Okay, our final story tonight. This one is deeply disturbing. Happened at a high school just a couple of years before the narrator heard about it. It was recounted by a freshman after their chemistry teacher discussed it. It was a medium-sized school, maybe 400 students per grade level. But AP Physics was smaller, about 100 kids, so just one teacher for that subject. The longtime physics teacher retired. The school hired a new guy, Mr. James. And apparently from day one, people knew Mr. James was different. He'd just blow up over the smallest of things. A student writes a formula wrong, he'd go absolutely ballistic. First week of school. He apparently made over 5 students cry with his outbursts.
Like extreme, immediate red flags.
You'd think so. The chemistry teacher, she was also the science department head. She was very disturbed. She went to talk to him one day, but he wasn't in his classroom. While waiting, she noticed his teacher locker was open, inside. A pillow, sleeping bag, some clothes. Which seemed, a little suspicious, but she kind of brushed it off, didn't overthink it. Then, fast forward to December, the chemistry teacher's son was in marching band. She picked him up late after a game around 11 p.m. Driving past the school, she noticed Mr. James's car was still there. That made her grow more suspicious. 11 p.m. on a Saturday. Why would a teacher be there?
Definitely odd. Staying late is one thing, but that late on a weekend.
Right. So the next week goes by. Mr. James's outbursts apparently got worse. The students began to fear him more. Then, the following Saturday, the chemistry teacher's kids were sick. She went out late again, this time to Walmart for ginger ale. Driving home, she decided to check again. Drove past the school. Sure enough, it was. His car was still there. The next week, the school suddenly announced Mr. James was leaving. Physics students could drop the class, no penalty, or take it online. Very abrupt. Then, this is chilling. On the first day of Christmas break, the school janitor is cleaning. Empty school. He texts the chemistry teacher. Mr. James is in his classroom. Empty classroom. Just standing there, staring at the wall. The chem teacher told the janitor, okay, if he's still there when you leave, call the principals, maybe the police. The janitor leaves hours later. Mr. James, still there 5 hours later, just staring at the wall. So principals and police were called. They ended up escorting him out. But it's not over. A week later, the chemistry teacher is in Mr. James's old room, checking supplies, cleaning out. She opens his drawers and finds various items such as razors, rat poison, and acids. The narrator ends with the question, just hanging there. Who knows what he was planning on doing with them? This whole scenario, the behavior, the things found, it's a nightmare for a school. How do you even begin to address something like that potential threat?
It's incredibly difficult. It highlights the immense challenge of threat assessment. You have clear escalating red flags, the anger, living at the school, the final vacant state, but linking them definitively to intent before something happens is hard. When does disturbed or suspicious cross the line into dangerous, finding those items? Razors, poison, acid. It's deeply sinister. It really points to the need for robust protocols for identifying and intervening in potential crises, mental health or otherwise. But the ambiguity itself is terrifying. What was he planning? We're left with that chilling unknown.
Yeah. That unknown is maybe the scariest part. Well, this deep dive, stepping into these shadows, it's been unsettling, to say the least. Each story, abduction averted, rage unleashed, danger unrecognized, potential threats brewing, they all force you to look at familiar places differently. They show the vulnerabilities, the hidden dangers that can, unfortunately, exist even in schools. These aren't just scary stories, they're warnings, really. Reminders about vigilance, trusting your gut, keeping communication open.
Definitely. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What unseen struggles are people around us facing? How does our awareness or lack of it affect community safety, especially in places we trust implicitly? Always trust those instincts. And encourage open talk, especially with kids. Let them know it's okay to speak up if something feels wrong, even if they don't know why.
So true. If you found these true stories as gripping, as chilling as we did, and if you value exploring the truth behind fear, we hope you'll like, share, and subscribe to the Horror Docs channel. We're always digging into these unsettling realities. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the shadows. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep your eyes peeled for the unexpected.